All right, everyone. Welcome to our Endangered Species Day live event. We're going to give it a moment for more people to join, and then we will get started. My name is Joy Baker. I'm going to be with you throughout today's call. So if you have questions along the way, please drop those in the comments below. I will be taking questions at the end of today's call. Hopefully if we have time. But like I said, we're going to give it maybe 30 more seconds for more people to join the broadcast. So if you'll hang tight with us for just a few more moments, we will get started shortly. Thank you so much for joining us to celebrate this Endangered Species Day. All right, looks like we've got a pretty good crowd, so I will go ahead and begin. Hello to all of my viewers from all over the world. My name is Joy Baker, and I'm the Education Manager for the Elephant Sanctuary. We would love to know where you're from, so if you want to drop in the comments where you are watching from, we'd love to hear from you. Today, we are honoring Endangered Species Day. Each year on the third Friday in May, National Endangered Species Day is celebrated and offers an opportunity for everyone to learn about the importance of protecting endangered species. It also encourages learning about wild habitats and the actions necessary to protect them. So one more reminder before we get into today's content, I do want to let everyone know that I'm going to be taking questions at the end of today's talk. If you have questions throughout, please drop those in the comment section, and we'll try to get to as many questions as I can at the end of today's call. So the Elephant Sanctuary is home to actually two endangered species. We are home to Asian and African Savannah elephants. Our mission is to care for these elephants who are retired from zoos and circuses, but also to educate the public about the crisis facing elephants in the wild. And the species is indeed in crisis, which we'll talk more about later. The Elephant Sanctuary is located on 2,700 acres in the small town of Hohenwald, Tennessee, which is southwest of Nashville. Most importantly, as a true sanctuary, our habitats where the elephants live are not open to the public. Now, of course, Tennessee is not the native habitat of elephants, so let's take a look at the wild range of each species. Asian elephants occupy South and Southeast Asia, the areas shown in green. African savanna elephants occupy the cream-colored areas, the savannas of sub-Saharan Africa. And African forest elephants occupy Central and Western Africa, but are primarily found in the Congo River Basin, the area shown in red. The sanctuary does not house any African forest elephants. In fact, this species does not exist in any type of captivity that we know of and can only be found in the wild. Now, today there are three recognized species of elephants. African forest and African savanna elephants were once thought to be the same species, and their populations were counted as one. This treatment as one species inflated their population numbers and camouflaged the true dire nature of their conservation status. But scientific evidence has been building for decades that the two, in fact, are distinct enough to be entirely separate species. You can see here some of the physical differences, but there are behavioral differences as well. For example, African forest elephants tend to have smaller herds than their savanna cousins. Now, this distinction is significant. When recognized as one species, African elephants were labeled as vulnerable. This still put them at risk for extinction, but was not as concerning as an endangered label. Now, for the first time, the International Union for the Conservation of Nature has recognized and assessed forest and savanna elephants separately. And because of this, they have now classified savanna elephants as endangered and African forest elephants as critically endangered. Asian elephants are also classified as critically endangered. But what do these classifications mean? The IUCN's Red List classifies species by risk of extinction. And as you can see, critically endangered means a species is at an extremely high risk of extinction in the wild. More than 37,000 plant and animal species in the world today are threatened with extinction, which is 28% of the species they have assessed. More than 134,000 species have been assessed by the IUCN, and over 8,000 of these species are critically endangered, like the Asian and African forest elephant. But how does the IUCN determine conservation status? It's not a straightforward counting of numbers, though number of individuals is of course a factor. The IUCN also considers factors such as habitat or range a species has left, and how quickly the species can reproduce. Elephants, for example, are slow reproducers. They are pregnant for 2 years and can go as long as 5 to 7 years between births. They also look at the rate of decline for a species. The African forest elephant population has decreased 86% in just 30 years. This compared to the African savanna elephant, which has faced a 60% decline in 50 years. And of course, the specific threats to a species, such as poaching and habitat loss, are also considered during assessment. These designations are important because a species conservation status can influence policy, research, and resource allocation. That's why it's so important that the forest and savanna elephants have been assessed separately for the first time. Of course, it's a blow to learn that these species are endangered, but having a clearer picture of their population better informs our solutions since each species faces unique threats and challenges. So, what are the threats facing elephants in the wild today? Wild elephant range, so the area they will occupy in the wild, has been shrinking for decades. As we said, the range a species occupies is a major factor in assessing their conservation status. A recent study of African elephants found that they are only using 17% of their available range. And this map shows us the historic range of elephants, shown in the black color, versus their current range, shown in green. So as we can see, they're occupying much less space than they once did. So let's take a look at why that's happening. Poaching, habitat loss, and human-elephant conflict are the major threats to elephants today. The threat of poaching is alive and well throughout Africa and Asia. This potential danger from humans is responsible for pushing elephant populations into a much smaller range, as herds learn to avoid areas that are high in poaching incidents. This often leaves these herds fragmented, which makes breeding and migrating much more difficult. Habitat loss is a long-term threat to all elephant species. More than 69% of Asian elephants' potential habitat has been lost in just one generation, 25 years. This leads to smaller, fragmented herds that cannot mingle for breeding purposes, and they cannot use historically safe migration routes to reach much needed food and water resources. Increased human population, as well as an increase in demand for agricultural products grown in these habitats, things such as coffee and palm oil, are drivers of this loss. The expansion of human population, as well as human activities, such as agriculture that we just discussed, brings widespread habitat loss and fragmentation. And this, in turn, brings human and elephant populations into increasingly close contact, which often ends in conflict. It's estimated that 20% of the human population in Asia lives in or near elephant range. An example of human-elephant conflict would be crop raiding. So when an elephant population enters agricultural fields in search of food. These types of incidents are incredibly dangerous and often lead to the loss of both human and elephant lives. But it's not all bad news. What can we do to protect elephants in the wild on this Endangered Species Day? Well, knowing the true conservation status of each species gives us the opportunity to recognize these threats and tackle them head on. I hope we can all agree that we will promise not to buy and trade elephant ivory and reduce its demand. And we have seen this work in places like China. China had the world's largest legal ivory market, but closed it down in 2018 and banned the sale of ivory. And in the latest survey of Chinese people, just 18% of respondents were interested in purchasing ivory. This is a 43% decrease in demand pre-ivory ban. However, illegal trade in ivory still exists, and the network for this trade often overlaps with the trade in other exotic animals and animal products. That's why it's so important that we not participate in the trade or sale of exotic pets and other wildlife products. You can learn more at inthetrade.org. Although many of us on this call do not live in elephant range country, our daily choices can still make an impact. As we said, agricultural production is a driver of habitat loss, and specifically the cultivation of items like coffee, paper, and palm oil, which is found in many everyday items from your chocolate to your shampoo. We can all be responsible consumers of these products. We can avoid waste and choose sustainably sourced options. The seals you see on your screen can be found on products as you shop to help you make better choices. We also encourage you to check out the ingredients list if you would prefer to avoid palm oil completely. Most wild Asian and African elephants live outside of protected areas and are facing increased pressure in their wild spaces. So when you're traveling, it's important to support tourism venues that treat elephants with dignity and respect and support species conservation. These venues should offer observation-only experiences in lieu of hands-on experiences like bathing and riding. Lastly, we can all use our voice to speak up for elephants. These are all ongoing and evolving threats to elephants, and that's why it's important that we stay up to date on the policies that affect elephants, such as trophy hunting. Find organizations that support elephant conservation and tell your friends. You can start your research at elephants.com/international outreach. The Elephant Sanctuary collaborates with conservation organizations on 4 continents. Their programs focus on human-elephant conflict, anti-poaching, habitat preservation, field work to add to the knowledge of elephants, rescue and rehabilitation, improved management and care in captivity, and providing veterinary care. Now, like most issues in the world today, the crisis facing elephants is complex, and it can't be solved with one simple solution. If you would like to learn more, you can visit elephants.com/takeaction and take a pledge. When you take a pledge, we will send you more information on how to take action on that pledge and fulfill your promise to elephants. If you would like to support the Elephant Sanctuary, there are many ways you can get involved. You can sign up for our email list, give us a shout out on social media, or start a fundraiser of your own. You can also follow us on your favorite social media platforms by searching for the Elephant Sanctuary. Our usernames are all here on your screen. And if you would like to learn more about the topics we spoke on today, here are the resources we used for today's presentation. Now, as promised, I would love to take some questions from you. If you have a question, please drop it in the comments section below, and we'll answer questions for about the next 10 to 15 minutes. I'm also going to go back to our social media slide in case you would like to follow us on any of those social channels. So our first question coming in is, how long do elephants live? Excellent question. It's fairly hard to get an average age for wild elephants because they are actually incredibly long-lived. So researchers kind of estimate that they can live into their 50s and 60s. Of course, getting an exact age range is a little harder when we're talking about wild elephants. I can't answer this question without mentioning the elephants at the sanctuary. Our current oldest resident is Billy, who's 59 years old, incredibly old for an elephant. And our oldest elephant who ever lived here was Shirley. I bet we have some Shirley fans on the call, who lived to the amazing age of 72 years old. I also have someone asking how we can donate to the elephant sanctuary. If you go to our website, elephants.com, and click donate, you will see we are actually in the middle of our spring campaign, and we currently have a match for $8,350. So what that means is if you donate right now, you can double your donation, make your donation go a little bit further, and contribute to the care for the elephants at the elephant sanctuary. All right, I'm going to scroll through the comments and see if we have any other questions. Always a good one. Do we allow visitors to the elephant sanctuary? We do not allow visitors to the elephant sanctuary here in Tennessee. That is part of our values, our philosophy, and our mission. All of our elephants lived very long lives in the public eye, either working in circuses or living in zoos. So their life at the sanctuary is an opportunity to live just as elephants would in the wild. So they're out there napping and mudding and swimming and playing with each other. But if you want to virtually peek into the elephant sanctuary, you can do that at elephants.com/elecam. Those are live cameras that stream from the habitats, and we are having a beautiful spring day at the sanctuary. So I'm sure you will see some elephants on camera if you go there today. Are there any other organizations in the United States that do similar work to the elephant sanctuary? There is one other accredited elephant sanctuary in the United States called Performing Animal Welfare Society. Now, when we say accredited, we mean accredited and certified by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. There are organizations that will use the word sanctuary, and it may mean something very different than what we mean here or what PAWS means when they're talking about themselves as a sanctuary. So that's why we really encourage people to look for that GFAS, that Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries accreditation. So you know that that organization is meeting very strict standards for welfare and care of their animals. All right, I'm going to scroll through one more time, see if we have anything else. Who is the largest elephant at the sanctuary? Well, it really depends if you're talking about height or weight. So if we are gonna do, let's do height first. Debbie, who is an Asian elephant, and Flora, who is an African Savannah elephant, are tied. So they are both 8.5 feet tall. And I bet, depending on what room you're sitting in, that's probably as tall, if not taller, than your ceiling. The heaviest elephant, that honor belongs to an elephant ironically named Minnie. Minnie usually clocks in between 10,000 and 11,000 pounds. So she is quite large, even for an elephant. Someone's asking, how do Asian and African elephants differ? They differ in many, many ways. There are actually more differences than there are similarities between African and Asian elephants. So that means genetically they are different. If you look at their evolutionary history, they are different. But also, if you just use your eyes and observe, they look very different. So Asian elephants are the species with the smaller ears. They also have double domes, or these two large humps on the top of their head. They typically have rounder bodies. And one really big giveaway is that most Asian elephants are tuskless. Female Asian elephants cannot grow tusks at all. Only about 50% of the males do. If we're looking at African elephants, they have the much larger ears that cover their entire shoulder. All African elephants, forest elephants, and savanna elephants are able to grow tusks, and they also have a saddleback or a dip in their back like you would see on a horse. So I would say those are the major differences you should be looking for if you are trying to identify the species of elephant you are looking at. Someone else asked, how do we train the elephants at the sanctuary? So I do want to make an important distinction that we only train our elephants to participate in their health care. So we don't train them to do any sort of tricks or things that would not be necessary for their health. We don't train them to paint or anything like that. The way we train our elephants is through protected contact and positive reinforcement. So I'll try to give a brief explainer of each of these concepts, but we do have some awesome YouTube videos on our YouTube channel that can go into a bit more detail. What protected contact means is that there is a barrier between the elephant and the caregiver. It's a fence that has plenty of openings for hands-on care, but it provides physical protection for the caregiver and also protection for the elephant. She chooses to come up to the training fence and she can walk away at any time. So she's in much more control over what she is doing and what she's participating in. The second part of the equation for training at the sanctuary is positive reinforcement. So we use vocal praise and, more importantly, food rewards to indicate to the elephant when they are doing an appropriate behavior, doing what we have asked. So a great way to think about it is if I asked Debbie to present her foot and I said foot, and Debbie showed us her foot, she would get a slice of apple or a piece of carrot or some celery to indicate, thank you, Debbie, you have shown me your foot, which is what I was asking for. And we only use positive reinforcement. We don't use any punishment with the elephants, even if they walk away in the middle of the training session because they see a butterfly. That's totally fine. Caregivers will wait for the elephant to be ready again. We work on elephant time here. At what age do elephants stop procreating or reproducing? Elephants in the wild can actually produce calves well into their old age. So well into their 50s and 60s, they can actually still have calves. We don't see that as much in captivity. Their reproductive years are shortened. And again, I do want to make a clarification that we do not breed our elephants at the sanctuary. Although these are endangered species, the fact remains that an elephant born at the sanctuary has a very, very low probability, if it's not impossible, to reintroduce that elephant to the wild. So we really wouldn't be contributing to wild species conservation. So we do not breed elephants at the sanctuary, though of course there are other entities that do breed in captivity. How do elephants' social hierarchy work? Well, it really depends on the species, again. So African savanna elephants have a very strict hierarchy. So there is a matriarch. She's typically one of the older, more dominant females in the group. She is the boss, she is the leader. She has a great responsibility as well. She knows the safest migration routes. She knows where to find food and water if resources are scarce. So she leads that herd and keeps them safe. What I find most interesting about African social hierarchy is that it's almost like royalty. So the matriarch's daughter is very likely to become the next matriarch, and so on and so on. That honor kind of passes down the family line. Asian elephant herds also have a matriarch, also have a leader, but it's a little bit more fluid. It's not as strict. The matriarch may shift or change based on the needs of the herd. And so that's a very brief explainer of social hierarchy. What are some of the elephant's favorite treats? I do so love this answer or this question. I think most of the caregivers would tell you that our elephants have a sweet tooth. So sweet and sugary fruits tend to be favorites. So things like watermelon, bananas, those are the kind of the two top favorites. We do have the occasional oddball like Minnie. Her favorite food is just plain old hay. So yes, each elephant has their own likes and dislikes, their own favorite foods and least favorite foods, just like people, and not all elephants like the same things. All right, we're coming up on the end of our time. We have about 5 minutes left. If there are any final questions in the comments, I'm going to do one more pass through and make sure we've gotten to everyone. If you want to leave a comment on this replay later on, we can follow up and answer your question then, but I just want to make sure we've gotten to everybody today. All right. I'm not seeing any more. Oh, here's one more. This is a good one. How many elephants at the sanctuary? We currently are home to 10 elephants. So that is 6 Asian elephants and 4 African Savannah elephants. If you would like to learn more about the specific elephants at the sanctuary, maybe you want to adopt a specific elephant at the sanctuary, you can go to elephants.com/elephants. I know, very easy to remember. And there you will find a biography of each elephant and learn a little bit more about their life story and how they came to be at the sanctuary. Another excellent question coming in, how can someone travel responsibly internationally? And what is the best way to find an eco-friendly organization? Excellent question. I'm sure we all know it can be difficult to kind of navigate your travel choices, especially when you are not living in the country you are visiting. But there are some things you can look for when you're choosing a place to visit. So one thing to look for is that the place you're visiting offers observation-only experiences. So these would be places that do not offer elephant rides, do not offer elephant bathing. Those activities can be very stressful for elephants as they're interacting with hundreds, if not thousands, of strangers a day. Those elephants are also often trained in a dominance-based system. So things that offer you a chance to view elephants in their natural habitat would be a great thing to look for. Another really good thing to look for is the reviews. Now you're probably thinking, well, how can you trust reviews and what to look for? A great place to start is the 1- and 2-star reviews. Those are typically where you're going to find any welfare concerns, and they can be the most telling about an organization you're thinking about visiting. Do elephants have predators? Typically, no, elephants do not have any natural predators in the wild. They are the largest animal that lives on land, so they far outweigh any predator that would pose a potential threat. Also, again, they travel in those herds, those large groups. So if you are a lion on the hunt, it makes sense that you would rather take on a gazelle than a group of 10 very large, very big elephants. So they do not have to worry about natural predators, again, so much as issues created by humans. And then someone asked, what is the name and age of the eldest elephant here today at the sanctuary? The eldest elephant is Billy. Again, she is 59 years old. That is 59 human years. And she is an Asian elephant. One more person asking again, how can we donate to or help the elephant sanctuary? So I always tell people to start at our website. It's a very easy URL, elephants.com, and that's elephants with an S. If you click the donate button, you can learn more about donating specifically. Again, we are in the middle of our spring campaign, and we do currently have an amazing match of over $8,000. So you will essentially be doubling your donation today. But there are also non-monetary ways to help. So again, following us on social media, telling your friends about the Elephant Sanctuary. Those are free ways to help the Elephant Sanctuary as well, help us grow our audience and share our mission with the people in your life. All right, folks, I believe we have been on for nearly 30 minutes today. And I know some of you maybe are on your lunch break or only budgeted 30 minutes, but thank you again so much for attending our live event today. And we look forward to doing more of these again. So please, again, keep an eye out on these social media channels on your screen to learn more about future upcoming virtual events. All right. Happy Endangered Species Day, everyone. Thank you. Goodbye.